Good morning, everyone. What an amazing program we saw today. Bethany is brilliant.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining me here in the after chat of Humanity Rising. I'm Shannon MacArthur, and I moderate the conversation. And Bethany is with us. Bethany, I'm Shannon MacArthur. I sat back and just your brilliance washed over me. I was like I was at the beach with full sun.
That's excellent. I love being a beach.
You were the sun girl.
Thank you so much, man.
Oh, absolutely. That you were able to come in and talk with Jim. I'm sure he was thrilled. He's the Jungian himself.
Yes.
So to to witness the beauty that you brought to our screens and to our souls as you talked about the where he lives
Mm.
and his training. I'm sure he was just fascinated.
Yeah.
He certainly did seem to be, talking about Anakin and all of that.
Yes.
Um, how did you get into it?
So I first encountered Jungian in my deconstruction of Christianity. I am a very spiritual person, but I don't like being told what to do. So, in deconstructing religion, I was still quite thirsty for something spiritual, something mythological, something I could sink my teeth into. And so I started going to my own Jungian analyst. Um, and I was like, oh, it was like being at a buffet. This is my bread and butter. Because I've always had very vivid dreams, and my dreams are quite lengthy. They're like paragraphs long. So my Jungian analyst was like, we're just gonna do like one paragraph at a time. And that's where I really started to go deeper into Jungian studies. So yeah, it has been a journey. Yeah.
And it was in your dreams that you took us first. Oh
Yes.
my God, 5 years of that dream? Oh my God, girl.
Terrific. Yeah.
Ah, oh, ah.
Yeah.
I that you're saying it all is the miracle. Um, I'm going to encourage our guests here to be a part of the conversation. Kurt, come on in. Thank you.
Bethany, you were superb, and I can't get over how superb because of you brought forth the images in every instant, just about, not only visually, but in your expression and everything. Uh, Talk about making it come alive for people. I just turned on a man who's been studying Jung forever, as well as Rudolf Steiner and all kinds of other interesting people. But Hillman is his other big guy. But he's a professor, and he's gonna dive into this and just so appreciate it. Uh,
Mm.
I have much more to say, but I'm going to back off. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kurt.
Thanks, Kurt. Stan, my friend who is the owner of this space, he needs to turn on his microphone and then he will be able to
Thank
talk to you.
you. Yes, I'm a little lost in space today, but Sarita says that George Lucas told her that in 1995, and I have to stop my phone from capturing every word I say, um, that if Donald Trump gets to be president, we'll be in war. We'll be in Star Wars. And she also told me that Lucas said that. This, this is strange things that go on the computer. Um, that Star Wars was a documentary, according to George Lucas. Um, Now I'm trying to see. She's busy at a meeting today, so she's not going to come here. Would have been wonderful if she had, but because
Mm.
she has a lot of. She spent 25 years with George Lucas as an assistant,
Wow.
and And so, and then, well, maybe that's not too much noise, too much information. Um, they weren't personal, except that she had ended up taking care of his children for a while. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's just a shame she can't be here to meet you now. My question for you is, when are you going to write a novel?
Oh, Stanley. I actually just yesterday had an idea to go through my dreams and write them as short stories because my dreams are quite lengthy.
Hmm.
So yeah, stay tuned for that because I have binders full of my dreams that I haven't figured out anything to do with. So
Oh,
that's
wow.
my next big project, Stan. Yeah.
Good luck to you. That
Thank you.
sounds wonderful. And where were you born? What part of the world?
So I was born in Prince George, British Columbia, at
Yay.
5:24 in the morning on a cold winter's day.
All
Um,
right.
I live
More.
in Edmonton, Alberta, in Canada now. It's where I did my education. I just spent the last 3 years in Europe, through the UK, Spain, France, Ireland, and then back here.
Yeah, if I had a better understanding of what these things were, but your speech pattern is unique.
Thank you. I have heard that before. When we were in the UK, people can never place me. Where are you
Mhm.
from?
Right.
I had the same experience when I was in Thailand. A speech professor
Yeah.
uh, heard my girlfriend and I talking, sitting at a bar, and he
Mm.
had to come over and say, "Where are you from?" And I
Uh,
told him, "Kamloops, British Columbia,
yes.
Canada." Yeah. We stand out in a crowd because of
You
the way
do.
we speak. And I'm so in love with that idea.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Thank you, Stan, for asking the right question.
Well,
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm intrigued here. So, it's more than clarity.
Mm.
And wait a minute. This is clarity, personified, in a way. And I'm not worldly enough to be able to tell where anybody's from where
Really.
how they speak, except that it impressed me that you were so clear, and
Thank you.
just wow. Yeah, thank you for being here, and thank you for coming to our little playhouse.
I love it. I do want to speak just to something you mentioned a little bit earlier, Stan, of just Star Wars being a documentary, because I
Hmm.
think that is something that we see is the desire for power unchecked is the story of Star Wars. And I think that's something that the power in and of itself is not the problem because power is part of our strength and how we become ourselves. But when it is power over or greed of power, that's when we start to get into violations, when we start to get into overtaking. And that's, I think, what we see countless times throughout history is the power, the greed for power unchecked by moral principle or
Yeah,
empathy is the documentary of Star Wars.
right. And funny thing is, Sarita claims to have never seen any of the movies.
Oh, no way.
One of the things she commented on, she was listening, obviously, while you were speaking with Jim, but being at a meeting, she couldn't join us. But she said to me in one of her comments, "I'm going to have to watch that movie." I don't
I
know exactly
recommend
what she means by that, but she has told me many, many times that she hasn't seen the Star Wars movies after spending 25 years with Mr. Star Wars.
might be just close. I do recommend watching episodes 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, and then go into the animated series Clone Wars. The animated
Okay.
series is underrated.
I'll tell her to come here to and watch this recording, and
Perfect.
your comments can go to her that way.
I
Um,
love that. Stan, hold your questions. We're going to go on to somebody else for now, okay?
Somebody else can talk. Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much. Fred, you're up. Come on in. Activate your mic. There you
Yeah,
go.
thank you. Uh, Well, I'm a great fan of Jung also.
Mm.
So it was a wonderful talk you gave,
Thank
and
you.
some new depths it did get. But I was very intrigued by the question of Jim about how would you explain Trump, and then your answer to that is kind of shadow possession.
Mm.
I really loved that kind of oh, so it seems to be a double shadow. So the
Yeah.
shadow, in a sense, is identified with itself. So it is also blinded by itself.
Yes. I think it's one of the interesting things when we're talking about someone who is egotistical. Like, I mean, like Trump is the most egotistical person who probably has ever existed. We're not actually talking about ego, we're talking about shadow. And it is that exactly what you said, Fred, of like the shadow blinds itself to itself. And so it's almost like distorting the image that you see. Like if you're looking at your reflection in a funhouse mirror and trying to do your makeup, it's going to you will end up looking like a clown because the mirror that you're looking in is not accurate. And that's, I think, one of the biggest things when we're looking at shadow possession is what mirror are they looking in? And that's how we start to see what their reality is.
I also had kind of from that understanding, kind of it's a double. I also feel that, for example, Elon Musk is also pulled in that same kind of. We all seem to have that potential. Let's say that. But
Yeah.
people who have this special power connection and also have a brilliance, they can see themselves as very great.
Yes, I think that is one of the things in our culture that we are missing is over-identification with greatness.
And
Being,
I feel that is an American
Mhm. It
thing.
is. It is. Being a straight white male in America, you have automatic power. And so then the impetus to over-identify with that power and say, I'm great. Are you great or are you just a straight white male in America where you have power? Are you actually anything special? And I think that's something that in more ancient times, in ancient Greece, you were not great. You were visited by greatness. You had a daemon who came to you and gave you inspiration and gave you greatness. And then if it failed, it's not your fault. It's the daemon. It's fine. But if it goes really well, it's just like, yes, I have so much gratitude for my personal daemon. Like, thank you. It is when we over-identify with
Right.
the archetypal energy of power, of inspiration, brilliance, that we end up getting lost. And that's where I think it's very similar to addiction, where you're not in reality. There are not bugs on your arms. You are not that great. It is actually just the reality is like quite different. It's not as dreamy and foggy as you think it is.
Well, I was very surprised to hear Jim in his when he started his talk
Mm.
to say the whole world is, let's say, in confusion. And
Totally.
I must say, I feel that when you're outside of US, I'm from Europe. I'm
Yes.
not that confused because I
Oh,
really see that the US
yeah, the
is
US is confused.
completely kind of over the top at the moment, and it gets to see his own shadow. No masks are now out of the order; they are shown. And
Yes.
I think that people outside of the US for, let's say, already for almost 10 years are looking at a spectacle that they can't believe.
Exactly. Fred, I totally agree. When we were in Europe for the last 3 years, I can tell you I did not think about America even once. Did not cross my mind.
No.
Um, and that's, I think, one of the biggest things. It's again the over-identification with the self, and the self in this case is the nation.
Yes. And so you hear everywhere kind of the US is the biggest and best and whatever. And nobody's saying, well, let's think about it. Is that true? You know, they just take it in.
Totally. Which is like a man saying, I am the greatest and the best in bed. It's like, if you have to tell me that, are you? Maybe you could show me and I would believe that.
Yes, yes, and so, but I really feel kind of, I feel I'm trusting the world
Yeah.
to kind of this mask or unmask, I don't know how you call it, the US kind of ridiculous self-great and aggrandizing. How do you call it? To grandiosity.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so perhaps we are at the start of a healing process.
I
America
think
is now really looking into kind of what the hell did we allow to happen?
yes.
But thank you. It was great. And go to the next one. It's Christoph.
Thank you so much, Fred. Absolutely. Jim is a white male in
Totally.
in the United
He's a great guy.
and he is an amazing man, and I hats off to him. But he is myopic in this situation. He the world is leaderless. Are you kidding me?
I was astonished that even Jim kind of was pulled in.
Yeah. I'm so glad I'm Canadian. On the other hand, yeah. Well, there's that too. But now we get to listen to Tracy and then Trisha. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. It's Christopher. You're up next. Come on in. Hey, Christopher.
Good morning or afternoon, everyone. Sorry for being so quiet lately. I've had 2 broken ribs, so I'm in not very good shape. But I do want to say it was a lovely presentation today, and I can relate to a lot of the things that you were talking about. I've had experiences myself with fear and learning to overcome those. In fact, I'm currently writing a book called "From Fear to Knowledge," which should be available soon. And hope everybody here has a great evening and a great day, and I will talk to you guys later.
Well, thank you so much for dropping in with us, Christopher.
Oh, can I ask one more question? Do you know Gurdjieff's work, The Fourth Way?
I am like vaguely familiar with him. It is something that I have on my list. I have a list of like when I'm older, this is what I'll do. Too much to do right now. But I have it on my list for when
because in a certain sense, I put in a video of the Fourth Way that somebody made, which to me, but I was curious. Does Jung use the word humanity is asleep? Because that is the central theme of Gurdjieff when he starts.
Yeah.
And meaning there's so much automatism that we don't know. That's what makes us so unconscious.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not sure if Jung uses that term, but I think it would be that they kind of like stack on top of each other and very likely interlock from the little that I know about Gurdjieff's work. It's something that I can totally see how they would interplay with each other.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Fred. Gurdjieff is definitely somebody to look into. We've had, Patricia is all for Gurdjieff.
Yes.
Tracy, come on in, and then Trisha, come on in, Tracy.
Oh, hi from Australia. Yes. Oh, this is fantastic, Bethany. And I agree with everyone that's spoken. And I missed the intro actually. It's like 4 o'clock in the morning down here. I almost don't know. I'm a bit nervous speaking, but I fit all brackets. I'm an old addict and I'm been to Jungian analysts and studied Jung as best I could, been a part of the Jung Society down here. And, you know, psyche and symbol are the way I've always worked. I'm retired about 13 years now, but I've never retired, you know, you don't with this. You know, living with symbol in the body. So I'm being embodied more. I've helped a lot of people in my career embody. And I would never normally say this, but I've been told I was very good at what I did. And I'm only learning to own that. And in owning that, it's giving it to myself. And in giving it to myself, I'm a great believer we are one. So I'm giving it from the Gaza Strip to everywhere. And Bethany, I agree with that. I've never heard anyone in this contemporary time speak like you did with Psyche and Symbol. I want to cry. I want to dance. I'm about to go to the beach and watch sunrise with my dog. A Kelpie, you know, we're rounding up sheep, but we've got none, you know, tennis balls. I, you know, I made a few notes, but, you know, I can't even look at them. Yes, to Gurdjieff as well, but I've only touched on him so many years ago. I think it's time to visit there again. Each time I leave something, you know, on this Humanity Rising, it just leads me inwardly a little step deeper each time. You know, something else to look up. The list's a bit long, but we get to everything in the right timing. And just thank you from the depths of my heart, my soul, and from my body. I'm going goosebumpy. I will have, you know, an embodied drive down to the beach and a jolly good walk and ponder with the waves. Thank you. You are a very alive person. I was just looking at you, and you know, like looking at you in a different way, not listening and taking notes. And there's such life in you. Thank you for sharing it with us. Thank you for coming on here. I think you're a contemporary, important person. And I can't wait to read your book in my hand, not online. Yeah. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, and Shannon.
Oh,
And always.
Tracy, it is such a pleasure to hear you and to think of you out on the beach. And you know, I really want to echo what you've said about Humanity Rising because it has inspired so much. You know, Bethany, it started back on the day of the lockdown.
Yeah.
We've been going now for 4.5 years. And on day 60, Stan got tired of looking at all these people talking in the chat and said, come on over to my place. 15 of us showed up that day, and we've been going ever since. And Stan has created an archive of Humanity Rising that, that holds all of the links to the Humanity Rising episodes and all of these videos and the chats from both.
Oh,
And
that's
he
so
sends out an email every day with the links to the day page so that people can keep up, and they'll be able to come and see you, and you'll be able to go in and have a look at the chats because
amazing.
there's been an awful lot go on.
Yes.
And we're not expecting we're expecting you not to read those because we want every bit of your attention that we can have. But I also have started doing Jim's Nuggets. So I take his opening comments and I put them into text so people can read them. Of course, everybody really misses, you know, his oratory skills are just over the top. But I put it up in Patreon, and then I send the links to the speakers of the day. So I've got the email already started for you, Bethany. I just wanted to let you know that to expect it and say thank you so much. And I think it's Trisha next.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Bethany, for being here. I found myself wondering when Stan mentioned earlier about your clarity. My thought was, well, it's probably because she's done a lot of cleanup of shadow work. Cleaning up the shadow would be like, you know, a clear person. And I want to say this is part of how we're in this pickle that we're in. Pickle's such a fun word for how it actually feels, but you know, we're in this pickle because I feel because we have a boatload, a huge amount of shadow material that is not cleaned up and is being flung, you know, flung around. And let's say, you know, for all the people who love Donald, but let me say that he's got some pretty good shadow material. So unmuted. And so is he okay? Did he raise his hand one day and he's the soul that said, I'll do it, I'll be the bad guy, nobody else wants to do it, so let's give him, I'm going to give him some credit for being that soul that's perhaps representing the capital S shadow of humanity. And so then how do we get out of this pickle? Because it's huge and it's deep, and people aren't seeing it. It's not in view. It's him. It's him. It's her. It's
Yes.
everybody else but me. I'm not bad, you know, even though I'm very divided as a human, right? So any comments on that?
That is like, you absolutely hit the nail on the head. That like that I think is one of the biggest issues is blame. And I think one of the only things that we can do, and one of the reasons why when we're looking at the collective, oftentimes people become paralyzed because it's too big, it's too much, there's so many things happening globally. Really, there are so many things outside of our control. But what we do have control over is how to be responsible for ourselves. And that is, I think, something that we must do. We are compelled to do. We must take responsibility for our own shadow. So every time we say, wow, look at how shadowy they are. What is the shadow that remains unlit within me?
Absolutely.
Every time we look at someone else, we must turn our gaze within.
See that finger pointing? Look, there's three back at, right?
Yes.
And
And
so how do we so let's say 20 million people know about this and 40 million don't.
yeah.
So now what? You know, there's all that pointing going on, and you know, I mean, even just a some wounded part of myself that arises one day, and I'm like, oh, I think you're coming from your kid here. You know, I think this is a young child girl thing. Okay, I'm getting it in that moment, but and that I'm partly because I'm not using any chemicals or drugs or alcohol or anything. But what about humanity that's not looking, and they didn't get the memo, and so here you are, you're a Jungian gal, and help us, help, Bethany, help.
It is such a hard thing when we look at like there is so much that I cannot do. Are 40 million people who are not able to, who are not turning towards. What I do know from my time in the church is that evangelicalism does not work. Conversion does not work. What does work is modeling, is embodying. If I can embody the values that I profess, people will ask, what's with this? How do I get this like peace that you have? It's like, well, you have to deal with your shit. That's the deal. And I think that's one of the biggest things when we look at the gravity of what is before us in the world. We can say, there is so much that I cannot do. There is nothing that I can do. But what could I do now? And that's, I think, what we're always moving backwards and forwards. There is nothing I can do, but what could I do now? And
You
most
as,
of the time, it's
go ahead.
us.
You as a conscious individual taking
Yes.
responsibility. Okay, and then I'll just say one more thing that came to mind is that, you know, all this weather going on, all this abrupt, violent. And so when somebody's floating by in front of you and it's a flood, you reach in your hand, you're not going, Democrat or Republican, wait a minute, I'm not going to help you, you know? So it's taking these disasters to pull communities together. Cool. The two neighbors that didn't like each other over in, you know, California here, south of me, didn't matter because we got to save it, you know. So does it have to be like weather, you know? Does it have to be catastrophes that make us work together and forget that we're us and theming, you know?
I think that's the thing. If it is not love, it will be fear. And so that's kind of we get to decide what will bring us together.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Azza, I haven't seen you for ages. Azza, turn on your microphone and your camera and talk to us. I hope you're there.
Sorry,
Well, we can.
Shannon. Sorry, Shannon. I was having trouble unmuting. Hi. Hi, guys.
Hi.
God bless you all. This was an amazing Humanity Rising. I don't always get on Humanity Rising, but when I saw this today, because I'm also a therapist, I'm a dance movement therapist,
Oh,
expressive arts therapist. And when I saw your presentation, I was like, I got to get on this. And I was so impressed. And I'm
you.
so grateful for your presentation. It was awesome. It was really clear. It was really deep, and it was so insightful, and I loved it. And I just want to say that, as I said in the chat, to me, the whole transition or the whole vibration raising that we're all talking about with ascension is completely dependent upon all of us embracing our shadows. You know, at least acknowledging it to start, because we operate unconsciously in so many ways that we're not even really aware of, in terms of how we see politics, how we see each other, how we see the systems that are falling down and how they're coming back up together. Whatever it is, it's so important that we all do this shadow work. So I just want to say that. And I also want to ask, I have a very particular situation with my daughter that's
Yeah.
very challenging after she was stolen by Child Protective Services.
Mm.
And she's changed immensely, and she's not willing to do therapy. But I was just wondering if you do therapy with, I imagine you do with adolescents, and
Mhm.
if there's something I can, a way that I can contact you about that.
Yeah, absolutely. For adolescents, I just need guardian consent, and it's all virtual. So as long as they have a good internet connection, you can just send me an email. Um, one of the jobs that I'm just transitioning out of is working with high risk, vulnerable youth. So know how
Uh,
to know how to connect with the youngins.
Awesome. Yes, I also love working with adolescents. It's
Mhm.
such a challenging and rewarding time when you can win them over with the rites of passage and all your talk about the myths and the archetypes. That's, they're right prime for it at that age. So I really loved your work. So is your email in the chat? How do I get your email? I might
Yeah,
have missed
I
it.
just put it in the chat.
Okay. Beautiful. Thank
Excellent.
you so much, Brittany. Bethany, you were so beautiful. Thank you. I look forward to connecting with you, and thank you all. God bless.
God bless you, Azza. I'm so glad to see you again. Jung with youngins. Oh my, this does sound like very powerful medicine.
Yeah.
And I wish you all the very best. And next on my list is Paul. Paul, my friend, how are you? Activate that mic. Let's get.
I'm fine. Thanks for calling me. And I was very devoted to this talk. Brittany, you're very good, and you've gotten a lot of strength to go through with all this, because times are changing. And I understand what Jim meant in the beginning, but I was in college in the 70s, and Joseph Campbell came to my class, and he almost broke out in tears because of the way the war was going.
Yes.
And he was explaining and choreographing how all these myths go through, and how people do things because they try to recreate myths, and they want to be the hero. And in case of Donald Trump, he was such a abused, crazy child, and his father was so mean, and he had an older brother who was supposed to be the guiding light of the family, because it's always a family drama with these myths. But his brother became a drunk and killed himself by drinking too much, so that's why Donald Trump doesn't drink. So there's always a cure at the end of it, but not to become a madman. But that's how it's going. And the other thing I thought about when you're talking about George Lucas and Star Wars was his earlier film, THX 1138. THX is a great film, underrated, but it's about a future sort of brave new world with slave gangs, and they don't think of themselves. That's their purpose. They have to take a drug so that they can stay and work all the time, and another drug so they can go to sleep and get a good night's sleep, and also a drug to kill all of their sex urge so they don't get distracted. And there are two workers fall in love and they start cheating and not taking the drug. And you see what happens after that and how they have to escape from this hell that they've been in. And the whole movie seems to be underground because that's where they work, like slaves in some underground factory type thing. So it's the shadow and the darkness. It's beautiful to see. And the other last thing I would suggest is everybody should read A Wizard of Earthsea by Ursula Le Guin. And that's becomes a master fight against the shadow. It impressed me a great deal. I read it to my son when he was a child, and it impressed him a great deal, and he went on to get a degree in history. But he didn't want to relive the old history. And my daughter's up there in Canada, and her partner is from Edmonton, so I'm familiar with the terrain there. And I met a lot of people in Tromsø, Norway, who would go to Edmonton to see the Northern Lights because that was the best place to see it in the Western. So I'm looking forward to that too. Take care.
Thank you so much, Paul.
Thanks, Paul. Wonderful. Sarah Sue, come on in.
Hi, thank you. I'm still recovering. So I want to thank you, Bethany. It was wonderful. As much, I didn't hear all of it, but I heard a lot of it, and it was really spectacular. And I just heard you say something about no blame. And I adhere to the 13 life principles, as everybody knows here. And one of the principles is no blame. And I happen to have chosen it yesterday.
Amazing.
And in actuality, there's a whole page to read about it. But when I took no blame, that's nice.
No blame. Oh, it was the cat who did it. No blame.
But when I take no blame off the table, what's left is compassion.
Yeah.
And I actually went to bed, knowing that I'd picked this and going through forgiving and taking the blame away.
I think one of the most important things with blame is that we also don't skirt too fast past the pain. That's, I think, one of the most important things is that we still create space to honor and hear from the injury. Where is the injury? We can't ignore when there's a gaping wound. We have to tend to it. It's just that in the tending to it, there's no projection. It's compassion, exactly what you said. We turn compassion towards ourselves instead of blame towards someone else. That's one of the biggest things we're always turning towards.
Beautiful. Thank you.
And I just want to go to Sarah Sue for a moment. Are you still waiting on Sasha Stone, or where are you these days?
I am in Bacalar. Sasha's not coming back till March. I've talked with his sister. We've made nice connection. They're a long way off from their project. And I've met a lot of other people and other things in the area. And so
that's the thing about these attractors, is that you don't necessarily have to connect with them, but with the people around them. And this is how we're coming together. We are doing a marvelous job, Sarah Sue. Thank you so much for your part. Absolutely.
Well, thank
you. And Patricia, are you up next, or is it Kurt? I think it's Kurt. He's got his microphone on, so let's go to Kurt.
And as Kurt's coming in, Tracy, did you see my message?
Just on the chat here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Okay.
Kurt, yes,
Good to
Kurt,
see
come
you,
on in.
Sarah Sue.
Real quickly, seems you live in Edmonton and you're all about what you give us is happiness. I'm not sure if you saw my note to you about Mark Anielski.
No.
He lives in Edmonton and he's probably one of the great experts on economics of happiness. He's got a book called that. He's got a number of videos on YouTube and so on. He's an amazing soul.
Incredible.
We met him. Have you met him?
So he is connected to my ex-husband. So a little fun connection. Yes,
Have you had some nice scotch with him? Because
I
he loves.
haven't. Okay, I'm gonna add that to my list, Kurt.
See, that's the economics of happiness. You got to have
Yes,
pleasure
a
there. You know,
good pleasure. Yes.
it's like my background now. It's so much more pleasurable. It's just up the street. It was up the street. The display passed away just like normal flowers will. But you keep on bringing that happiness to everybody, and thank you so much. And I'd love to be connected with you in creating peace in everything.
That would be amazing.
Peace. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks very much, Kurt.
Tisha.
Okay.
Hey,
Can I talk?
Patty,
Okay.
you're up.
Yep. Well, thank you very much. This is Carl Jung was always one of my idols. As a psychologist, he came across, there was Freud, there was many, many years ago, that's all we had, either Freud or Jung.
Exactly.
And so it was very good to have him because he very inspired me. And the way you brought it was even more so. And something that transitioned while I'm hearing you, and I even mentioned it here, this is, I follow the Toltec tradition as well. And I had never thought of it in these terms. He talks about four enemies, and Don Juan talks about four enemies of the men of knowledge, right? And as I was hearing, because the third one is power.
Yeah.
You start off with fear, and then you get stuck, and then you have clarity, and you think that everything you see a dot in the horizon, you think it's all there, you know it all. And the third is power. And this third one, when we were talking about the power over, is something that, most of us are subject to. I mean, all these, what came to me was all of them are shadows
Yes.
that assault us. But power in itself is when somebody, you feel that you're the tough one, you're the great one, you're the one that made it, you're the one that's, and you don't realize that power isn't yours, it comes through you. However, most of our leaders and gurus and whatnot, when they feel powerful, they say, it's me, it's all about me.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's me, that. And it's a shadow. And the fourth one is old age in the terms of, I don't play this game anymore. I'm off the road. I'm just going to lay back and that's it. It's not about age. But I was looking at the four of them as shadows that assault us. I hadn't thought of it in those terms. And then the other thing is that I think is amazing is I worked while I lived in the United States in a psychiatric hospital called Chestnut Lodge. And one thing that I observed is that they would let the really difficult cases, loose, and when they went off, completely, we would grab them and put them in a little room and they would stay there, but it was permitted to let them go crazy, and have this there was no medication. One of the big things about Chestnut Lodge is no drugs, nothing. It was just therapy and playing and other stuff. And I think that's something that with shadow, when we look at it, if we don't really dive into it and let it, express itself in whichever way it is, we will never be able to handle it. We have to look at our own shadows, and even being an elder as I am, there's still shadows coming out from the past, it's a nonstop, So maybe you can say something about this, how we deal with these deep psychiatric, all these things that come up, and that they're a part of us as well. Thank you so much. Very
Yeah.
inspiring for me.
Thank you. It is one of the most important things we learn how to express the shadow. And I think if we look at what is the need, then we can see how to express it. So the need of power is to feel like life isn't happening to me. The opposite is powerlessness. So I need to feel like I have some standing, some foundation, something solid in my life. And so we can plan, we can do things, we can try things. I think one of the biggest things in more psychiatric presentations, what I've seen in my work, is that people are very in tune with more other realms that exist. And what they're expressing is oftentimes either their own inner pain or the pain of our culture. And one of the things that we do see in those psychiatric presentations is the freedom to express. They will scream, they will thrash, they will do what they want. And I think that's something that we're often missing in our culture is we don't do what we really want. So then we end up buying a bunch of things that we don't actually need. And so we end up sort of meeting the need, but not really meeting the need. And I think that's one of the biggest things. We have to understand what is the need. And that requires dialoguing with our shadow. Yeah. I do have to run, Shannon. I'm so sorry.
Thank you so
Oh,
much.
I was just going to talk about dragons.
I'm so sorry.
Well, just a little bit. I was told by a wonderful woman about having a conversation with your dragon, and your dragon is your shadow, and to
Yeah.
sit down and have tea with your
Yes.
dragon.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, Shannon. Okay, so my last little point is I have studied psychedelic assisted psychotherapy. And what I often find is when people experience fear during a psychedelic experience, it is repressed shadow material. And so when we are pushing away from the shadow in a psychedelic experience, it becomes amplified. And so that's one of the biggest things is that if you experience a dragon, sit down with the dragon. If you have a man-eating dragon in your psyche, ask it, why do you eat men? We cannot be afraid of ourselves. We have to sit down with them and ask, what part of me is eating men?
Oh
Get to
my,
learn.
yeah,
So
I
I'll
love
send
that.
you off with the peace salute, my dear. We get to see the world as it is. It's all
Oh, I
love.
love
We love
that.
it. And we say Zoom peace, and we throw the love out to the world, and boom, boom, shambo. It's all peace. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks so much, Bethany, for coming to the after chat. Bye for now. Oh
Kurt gets
my.
to go
And
too, so I'll
Harriet.
see you later, alligators.
Okay. See you later, Kurt. Harriet, I'm so sorry you didn't manage to get in to talk with Bethany, but here you are. You have the community here for you.
I had a whole question to ask her, but I'll put out some of it and see what comes up. I too trained as a Jungian psychoanalyst. I trained in Zurich. I was there for 2.5 years. I did all the courses. I did the propodoidicum. I passed the propodoidicum and I became a Jungian psychoanalyst. So I wanted to ask her where she trained and connect on that level. But here we are in Washington at a time when two men have taken over control and attempting to dismantle a system of governance that has served us very well. And they start out by getting rid of the humanitarian agencies and the inspector generals and the holding responsible, the consumer protection work. It's so clear what we're doing. What I would like to talk about and to ask other people's feelings about is we're dealing with two men, white male supremacists, who are drunk on power and want power for power's sake, how are we to hold them in the light? And how are we to hold them into recognizing how do we send the self-awareness that the shadow power of feeling helpless and therefore needing to have power over demolishing a system of governance that's kind of evolved very slowly in such a way that it's going to be very hard to rebuild after some of these agencies people have been laid off and they've taken other jobs. And how do we hold the situation in the light in a constructive way, bringing energies to bear that are needed in these times when the center doesn't seem to be holding because of the multiple crises? It's quite clear that we need to find that calm within ourselves and to deal with our own shadow material. And it's different for each one of us, given how we've grown up. But how do we hold a field around the people who are attempting to grab even more power at a time when we need to hold the complexity of the situation as America becomes aware of our own shadow and recognizing that the shadow is being very clearly exemplified by the two men that happen to be in power right now. And how do we do the inner work to bring equilibrium and balance in a sense of the wholeness, that we don't respond with the anger and hatred, but how do we hold in a constructive and a healing, that is a making whole, the situation that we're dealing with here in Washington at this time? And I wonder what other people in this, because there's a lot of wisdom in our group here. I wonder what other people think, how we might meditate to hold a field to see us through this time.
I would like to call on Len Brody. Activate your mic, my dear.
I was literally, that's why the hand's up, I was literally pressing pressing it. Yes, Harriet, it's just such a crazy world now, thanks to the planets and the year of the snake, where we've got transformation, creativity, and unpredictability. They're the three main words that I sort of connected with the year of the snake in the Chinese New Year. And if I say attachment through detachment, by that I mean attached to ourselves so we can heal ourselves and let go of everything and send out love and light to those people. Because to me, any conflict in the world brings up conflict within individuals, and they are then, it's on a plate for them to deal with their own conflict. And I think that's how the world can heal individually, because we can't change what we don't know. And as Tricia mentioned earlier on, Donald Trump's there for a reason and doing this, and it's so extreme for most people to cope with, but it actually, they may get emotional. By getting emotional and angry, often the shadow comes towards them and they can choose whether they want to heal themselves or not. And it's exhausting if we don't heal ourselves. So, it's a case of knowing that love and light and compassion is something everybody needs. So if we just visualize that from our heart and come out of our head and send it across the world, it reaches people, is my belief, and I'm sure other people's belief in here. So that's why I feel, this is why the healing and the Schumann resonance has been rising, because there's so many large groups doing this across the world. So, and it's less exhausting. if you're not attaching to something that we actually don't know whether that's right or wrong for the world in the end. So it's much better, I think, to contribute an energy of love, because we're all connected. Everything on the earth, in the oceans, the animal life, the bird life, and us humans, we're all connected. So why wouldn't everything that lives feel our positivity?
I love that, Lynn. And what came to my mind as you were speaking is a glorious statue in marble of Mary, the mother, with her son across her lap, having just been taken down off the cross. The love that is embodied in that statue, if we can put that love inside of ourselves and think of humanity as the one who is lying across our lap, we can rise as part of the one we are that is laying across her lap, healed and whole, and hold compassion for the one that died and is in the process of dying. Thank you so much. It's beautiful. Sarah Sue.
Well, I want to thank you, Lynn. I loved what you said. It made so much sense. And the one thing that I kept thinking of listening is that are we judging? And number one, time to take no blame off the table. I just think there's a little bit too much blame going on and not enough trust that everything's happening the way it's supposed to be happening. And it's all going to end up good because number one principle is better than you could ever imagine. And every next moment is going to be better. And it's wasted energy to worry about it. Number one, why spend your energy about it? It's time to look at Byron Katie. What's in your back door? If it's not in your back door, don't worry about it. But see why you are worrying about it, because why you're worrying, that is where the shadow is.
Bless you, Sarah Sue. I think Connie would be proud of you. Thank you so much. Diana, come on in.
Shannon, I want to thank you for that picture you painted. It does an awful lot for me, and the emotions being directed to that body across our lap is far, far better, far, far more powerful than worry and fear. But what I wanted to finish by saying is yeah, there's so much compassion, there's so much love there, but the body rose again.
That's right.
And that is what is so important. And that's why we can't just be sitting here thinking, oh God, this and that, and it's destruction. As I can't remember whether it was Lynn, I think she said, we don't know what's going to come about, or else it was Sarah Sue. We don't know what's going to come about. So let's not picture what we feel is so bad. That's not going to help the situation. Concentrate with the compassion and the love on the current, what we have in front of us, and know that we will rise again. I'm sorry, but not sorry, but actually when I look at the situation and I look what's happening and I look at what Trump and Elon Musk are doing, I have a lot of sorrow and compassion for the innocent people who are being hurt by all this. But on the other hand, when you look at all the money and what has been going on under this umbrella of US aid is the only one that I'm talking about right now, it is horrific. And this would never have come to the surface if it hadn't been for these other people. who so many people are pointing fingers at and saying, oh, this is horrible. There are horrible aspects of it. I will certainly agree to that. But on the other hand, there seem to be things that need to come out right now. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really, to you three guys there, I mean, I just appreciate that so much.
We are an amazing bunch. I love us so much. I do feel that we are so much a part of the rising that that Peter and Jim and the rest of them imagined when they were first conceptualizing the idea of humanity rising. This is what we came here for. And it is from the traumas that humanity has endured that we have come together, and we are not the only ones. There are groups just like this around the world coming together for good reasons, for powerful reasons. I'm honored to be a part of this one. Deeply, deeply grateful. And I'm going to plug just a little bit here because I'm going to talk about Stan here for a sec. The work that he has done, and Harriet, part of the reason that I'm talking about this is because you're here. I want you to know about this. I think you might be interested in knowing about this. The work that Stan has done daily has been captured in othernetworks.org. The work that Jim has been engaged in for 4.5 years is captured in othernetworks.org. That database of Humanity Rising is the archive of Humanity Rising. It was conceived as a gift for humanity, the future generations of humanity. And the free nature of Humanity Rising that Jim put in there that enabled us to be a part of it is in othernetworks.org. We want that gift to go on and on and on throughout time. It is kind of like an Akashic record, the nucleus of the Akashic record of the new one that is being born through what we are engaged in. We are creating a trust to hold the archive of Humanity Rising that will enable AI to become involved in it, to curate it on a daily basis, and to create a librarian so that people can find what they're interested in. That trust is going to need a board who is interested in making sure that this resource is available. If you are interested in becoming a part of what's going on and the future formation of this platform, I would love to have you be a part of the formation of it. And we don't know what it's going to look like, other than the fact that it is a gift for humanity. And I love to be a part of that. So let me know, let Stan know. We're putting this together. I did one of those Lynn McTaggart Circle of 8 intentions with a group. We intend that the archive of Humanity Rising, that the trust for the archive of Humanity Rising form powerfully and easily by the end of the month. Nothing like putting a time limit on this. It's not a time limit, it's a time goal. And it'll take what it takes, but this is what I want to see happen. And thank you so much for listening. And Stan, you can pick up the feather now. Come on in and talk to us.
I put a link to the item that's called Add a Page to Other Networks. It's on the main screen, the first screen you see if you go to othernetworks.org, and it's in bright colors. So I forget what color it is, but I may try to make it as obvious as possible. Add a page to other networks brings up a nomination form that you can write in the name of the page you want to see in other networks, and it could be the name of your grandmother's foundation. You know, where do we want our attention to go? And it could be whatever you think is good in the world. I don't want any bad things. Um, Things that are good in the world that need to be known about, and you don't have to fill in every single box. There's 10 boxes, and you just have to click on next, next, next to go to the so that you get from one field to the other. It does ask for who are you? That's about the third question. Who are you? Because I don't want people to pretend that there's somebody else. Um, but at the very end, there's a way to put in who you want to be known, to be contacted because of whatever it is you wrote. So it offers an opportunity to paste in a pretty large bunch of text about what it is that you want to be known about in the world. And I'm very pleased with um, oh dear, what names? The people, the trust fund, the trust uh, mechanism, the book trust about
Oh, the
trust.
trust frequency.
Yes,
Connie and Andrew.
yes, they did a lovely job of promoting their work in other networks by using that tool, and you'll find that material in other networks as they have put it in there for me to copy and paste. So that's to me
That's a
the
very good
best.
example.
Yes, the best way to use that tool, and the reason to use it is if you know of something good that's going on in the world that we want to connect with, and especially if we want to connect with other groups like ours, um, to things like the Global Regeneration Collab and the Evolutionary Leaders. These are organizations that are covered in other networks, but we need more of them. There's thousands. Um, the book titled Blessed Unrest listed thousands of organizations that are operating in the world to do good things about climate and social justice. And those are two issues that are very prominent in our world. And regeneration and other kinds of things that are going on. Who's growing good food? Who's creating community? And what kind of community are they creating? And how do we get in touch with them? These are things that other networks is for. It's for helping connect the world of good-hearted people to each other. And you can help by putting in the ones you've come across. When you know that there's something out there that's not been on Humanity Rising or should be on Humanity Rising, put it in and don't worry about filling it all the fields. Just use the ones that make the most sense to you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Stan. I just love what you do.
Thank you.
I'm going to find my Patreon page and add that link to the after or to the chat.
Mhm.
And then I'm going to go off and do other things. And I'm putting that in the chat as well. So I'm off. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you tomorrow. Blessings. I love you. Bye for now.
Bye-bye. Now we're stuck here all by ourselves without Mama to tell us what to think or what to do or who to talk to. Anybody have something they
I
want to
said,
talk about?
Stan,
Yes.
I just said we have Papa.
Okay. Well, yeah. I don't usually take that role, but That is what my grandchildren are supposed to call me, but two of them aren't talking to me right now.
Yeah.
Shadow time then, Stan.
Yeah, I'm supposed to make a date with my son-in-law, my daughter's husband, who has figured out the psychology of the other parents of my grandchildren, and we haven't had the chance to do that. He's very busy. He runs his own business, and I'm here doing this, and but I do need to have a catch up with my son-in-law for my other in-laws, and why are they thinking that I'm so weird that they don't want me talking to their children? Yeah.
That's because you're so normal.
Well, I'm not exactly normal. I mean,
None of us are.
no. And my wife says that I'm too gabby, and I talk about things that um, I shouldn't be talking about to my
Which is
children.
what's so great about this group.
Yes, it gives me an
So
opportunity
how
to
old
talk
are
about
you?
things.
Are your grandkids?
Let's see, 5 and 3 or 5 and 2, something like that.
Oh,
Yeah.
young.
Well, these are young ones, yes. Um, these are the children of my second child, and my first child is raising a very healthy and very brilliant young boy who's 6 or 7 years old, and is in first grade, I think now. And so, yes, my kids are young, but that's because I got a late start. I think I was around 30 when I met my wife. And well, should we stop this and go on with the rest of our lives? We heard a
Yeah,
lot today. I want to go
maybe.
back and listen to it because, oh, I forgot
I
to
have
ask
to
Shannon.
go. Bye,
I did.
everyone. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay. Bye,
Thank you,
Tracy.
everyone. See you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Enjoy the
Goodbye.
sunrise.
I
Oh,
forgot.
thank you.
I
Yeah.
forgot to capture the beginning of the chat, and I actually came on to Humanity Rising in the middle of Jim's talk, and he had to say to me, "Stanley, turn off your camera and your mic." I guess you might have heard him say that, and I don't remember why. I mean, I guess I was in space, being late to come into Humanity Rising today. But I missed the beginning of the chat. It's not there in my records.
Humanity Rising chat.
Yes, the Humanity Rising chat is going to
It
be.
started extremely late anyway, Stanley.
Oh, did. Okay.
Mm.
Well, yeah, I missed the beginning of Jim's talk, and I missed the beginning of the chat. So that's not going to, right now, it's not going to appear unless somebody has it and can send me the first 5 minutes of the chat.
Doesn't Gail have it?
Well, I don't know. I haven't asked them.
Because we can't copy it, Stan, so we don't have that.
Yeah, we
Right,
can't
most
record it.
people don't. Yeah. I can ask Georg if he can give me the first 5 minutes of the chat. I don't know how important that is, but certainly I would like to go back and see the beginning of Jim's talk because I can do that because
Do that. But of the chats, Stan, if I remember correctly, I think there were only about 2 comments put in, and one of them was Shannon saying welcome or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's
before you came in.
Okay. Yeah.
I didn't get in there until something after 20 past because of the computer, and that was all I saw, Stan. So I don't think you've missed anything from what Diana's saying.
Okay. Well, probably not, but it's I want to go and listen to the talk today because she was so clear whenever I could hear. I can't think and listen at the same time, and I'm thinking about what am I doing to capture stuff to put in the work that I'm doing and so I don't often be able to listen to the presenters talk. and unless I go back and listen to the recording, and then I can actually listen to it, because then I can think and listen at the same time.
Well,
Even
why don't you do that? I just wanted to ask Sarah Sue, what are you recovering from?
Oh, it might be working in pneumonia.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I've gotten over MRSA pneumonia without any drugs, and I do it quicker than most by not eating. I haven't eaten for days. And then I'm gonna work into protein because my fever's gone. I had 104.3 fever.
Wow.
And now I'm just really dehydrated and the congestion is coming up and it's coming from my lungs. So I'm looking at like a low grade, not serious pneumonia. Well, and with me, it doesn't get serious because I cut it off. Most people, when they have something like this, they'll eat and they'll eat and they'll make it worse and they'll make it worse. I'm just trying to work it out, but I am dehydrated and that's my worst thing going on right now. So this is pure coconut water and I'm drinking the whole thing.
Yeah, okay. And you said before the last week or whatever, you were kicked out of your she's gone.
Oh, no, she's there.
Oh, there she is. Hello. You've been kicked out of your hostel or?
No, not yet. I actually paid by the month, but they said they have a lot of problems that they want to talk about. So I don't know what they are yet because I got really sick and now I'm waiting to find out what they are. So we'll see issues. My issue is the refrigerator doesn't stay cold and my food's going bad. So I have found a refrigerator to buy and they're gonna let me put it in the room.
Oh, okay.
That's a solution. But I am gonna have to go back to Belize pretty soon because I am way over my visa.
Oh.
Sarah, so malign tea, I'm sure you know that. Did you know about malign tea?
No.
Oh, it's very good, and they're now selling very expensive little bottles with drops in them, which is ridiculous. But yeah, malign tea, you can just get the leaves. It's in there. I put it in the chat.
Oh, yeah.
I
I
thought
might
you,
even
I
have
thought you
some. Thank
must.
you.
That's
You
what
know,
I
it
thought
was
you
the way
talking.
you were pronouncing it, you know.
Well, I know.
Fine.
How do you say it?
We say mullion.
Oh, mullion. Okay. Well,
Mullion.
yeah.
Yes, and I probably have some now that I think about it.
Hmm.
Somebody gave me a bunch of herbs knowing that I like herbs and I carry them with me just in
Yeah, so
case.
try that. And I put ginger and turmeric, fresh, you know.
And I have fresh turmeric because it grows here and ginger because it grows here and already ready to go.
And ginseng, and I mean I can send you what I did too because it really cleared it for a while. Yeah, it's grief stuff coming out. I think this is why so many people have got this at the moment. There's respiratory things coming up in this country this week.
And
So
that's a funny thing because I hadn't even looked at the color because if it's not green and it's not green, then it's not infection. So
it's not what?
If the mucus isn't green, it may not be infection. I mean, it's an infection, but it may not be as serious as I think.
Yeah.
I don't have
Yes,
any
it's green.
I have
no
green phlegm.
But people are still getting the clear phlegm, which is really not nice. So that's something that a lot of people are.
There's both green and yellow, by the way. I've noted.
Yeah.
I guess it's time to stop recording because we're talking about our colds.
Oh, okay. I thought you had.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I hadn't stopped recording.
Well, it's
and
good.
I
It's there for everybody now, so that's okay.
Yeah, I just heard from my massage therapist who canceled our appointment for Monday, and now she's canceling for today and telling me that she's sick. And I've been sick for 3 weeks or more, and I don't understand why she's sick. And and now she's saying that I owe her for 2 sessions. Wait a minute, she canceled the first one that I already paid for.
Don't let
Oh,
her
well.
get away with that. Do
Yeah,
not.
well, I love her, but
If she's sick, she probably doesn't realize you paid already. She's up.
maybe something like that. We'll say I told her to call me and we could try to straighten it out. Anyway, bye to everybody who's listening. I'm going to turn off the recording, and we'll keep going anyway as long as we want to. Stop the companion and stop recording.
Malign or whatever T, what
Julian.